Hey guys, Rosie here. In case you couldn't tell by this new post, I made it out of the docking bay. If you missed my descent into the Challenger Deep, you can find it here. Skipping back to my hectic arrival to the base, which I was later told was named Atlas, how fucking generic, it was the most intense thing I have ever experienced. After the water had finally drained and the air in the dock had, mostly, pressurized, we were quickly ushered out. I landed on the floor of the dock and slipped, landing right on my ass. Yes, there is a bruise. The repeating thuds just on the other side of the wall reminded me of how much danger we were actually in. And I jumped up to follow the others. The air felt heavy and the bangs hurt my ears. I reached up to cover them and found one bleeding. One man had a nosebleed from us prematurely opening the door of the sub. I was the last one through the door as more thuds sounded. The docking bay creaked and a man slammed the door shut. I heard an assortment of hisses and clanks as the door sealed itself fully, while the banging continued in the dock. "Everybody get inside the control room," the man who had shut the door ordered. It was more of us fighting to get in rather than a single file line, I'll admit. "Newbies," he scoffed and sealed us in. He faced our terrified expressions with a grin and laughed. He laughed at us. My adrenaline rush was fading and I finally noticed a sharp pain in my ears. "Get a load of these guys," he said to his comrade between snickers. I couldn't tell if this guy was for real, his reaction was completely uncalled for. "Knock it off, we have a 789 on our hands," his more serious friend, whose name I have since forgotten, said. "We have to eject the dock." The laugher, as he will be henceforth known as since we weren't given his name, finally turned serious as if realizing the gravity of our situation. What a 789 was, I didn't know. "What's a 789? Someone asked, but the laugher just waved away the question as him and his friend worked at the control panel. "Can you not hover?" Laugher said a bit too aggressively. "It's kind of hard in here, this place is smaller than my old cell," the man who I recognized as the vomit machine retorted. He didn't look any better, if I'm being honest. "Cell? A convict?" I let that slide, as well as all of the questions aching to be asked, like the obvious, "What were you in for?" He had to be here for a good reason, everyone down here was an asset. "Floodlights," Laugher said, and his friend just nodded. My heart was pounding in time with each thud the creatures made against the hull of the docking bay. I was sweating profusely, wiping my hands on my pants did me no good whatsoever. And the air, oh the air in here was almost as thick as it was in the docking bay, and heavy with the smell of body odor. The two men at the control panel worked diligently while we all just stared through the window into the bay with increasing anxiety. Then, with a whoosh, the dock, still intact, disconnected from the base and started sinking. At almost the same time, the metal sphere imploded. A few people screamed, I might have been one of them, but I couldn't tell you for sure. There, in front of me, with its head stuck in a tin can, was what I want to describe as a mosasaur. Except it's not. It was a large reptile with fins, a shorter tail, no neck, and a head that had been crushed by the docking bay. Its back was entirely covered in spikes, its short tail barbed, and its fins. The beast had all four fins, but another two appendages that looked like arms. My adrenaline spiked again and I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to run to. The second beast roared an ungodly sound that made the control room shake. A haunting wail from a terrifying creature. "The lights. Turn them off. They aren't supposed to see that." Within an instant, the world in front of us turned dark once more. I stood terrified, my brain trying to process what had just happened, what I had seen, what I had heard from the Sirius worker. Not supposed to see that? Was he referring to the beasts? He had to be. With the world slowly coming back to me, I heard overlapping arguing, whispers, and words of panic. I also noticed a god-awful smell and gagged. Someone had shit themselves. Have the security clearance to see that? I caught the tail end of whatever Laugher said. Something must have dawned on his buddy because the two men leaned in close and then Laugher grinned as he turned back towards the control panel. I turned to look at Andy to see the big man pale as a sheet. What were those things? He whispered with an honest fear in his voice. I wish I could tell you, I admitted, feeling sorry for him. He would inevitably have to go out there with them in a small sub. Though after seeing those things take out the dock, I'm not sure how safe Atlas really is. With a panicked cry, someone else went down. What's happening? I shouted as my vision blurred. I saw Laffer and the other man utilizing pony bottles and realized that the air must be contaminated. Within seconds the dark spots completely stolen my vision, and my mind as well. Mechanical noises filled my ears and a harsh light shone from behind my closed eyelids, both factors increasing the pain in my head. The air, while still heavy and humid, had a familiar smell about it. A clean one. Hospital, my brain concluded. It took more than a few tries to get my eyes open, the pain increasing as I did so. I rolled my head to the side of the gurney I was on and tried to spy anything or anyone remotely familiar. Of course I wouldn't recognize my surroundings, I hadn't been on the Atlas before, but I did see one of the other men from the sub. He appeared to still be sleeping. I tried to say something, but it came out as a croak, and only then did I notice that I was absolutely parched. I tried to sit up, but my body felt unnecessarily heavy, as if I had been drugged. What a ridiculous thought. I closed my eyes and tried to remember how I got here, but I could only vaguely remember disembarking the sub in a panic. A control room. A monster being crushed to death by the very same docking bay. The creature. I struggled to get up and instead rolled myself right off the makeshift bed onto the floor with a thud. I groaned at the impact, and then there were two black shoes in front of my face. Whoever it was hoisted me up as easily as if I were a toddler and placed me in a seated position on the bed with the wall supporting me. Hi Rosie, I'm Gemma, one of the doctors on board the Atlas. Her cheery voice sent daggers through my skull and I let my head drop into my hands. How do you know? I couldn't even make the words form correctly. What the hell? We don't get new staff often, Gemma answered before I could finish my sentence. I peered up at the redhead with squinted eyes as she patiently waited for me to get my thoughts together. How did I get here? I managed to get out and the rest came out in a jumble, but I think I did quite well. It was something along the lines of, did the monsters leave? Is everyone okay? What happened to us? Gemma put on a serious expression as she gave me the news. The co-pilot had a malfunction with his sonars and instruments, and as a result, the instructions he gave the pilot of your vessel were a bit wrong. When I gave her a questioning look, she sighed. Essentially, you guys descended too fast and your bodies couldn't properly pressurize. It wasn't quite the bends, but the pressurization issues caused inadequate blood flow to the brains of everyone on board. You're all lucky to have docked safely. I wanted to believe her, but it was all too real to deny. As if reading my mind, she shook her head and leaned in close to me. I tried to lean back, but she had placed me with my back firmly against a wall. Asking questions is dangerous, she whispered, then stood up straight. I shuddered. I'll inform Quincy that you're awake. He'll come retrieve you from your orientation shortly. She turned around and walked hurriedly away. As I waited, I finally noticed a bottle of water next to my gurney and chugged it greedily. Her words, asking questions is dangerous, ran rampant in my head, and it still is. Guys, I wanted to believe that it was all just a hallucination, but her story felt, well, rehearsed. And I checked the record at the end of my bed, it said nothing about a ruptured eardrum. Most of the blood had been cleaned up. Most. I found some dried blood caked under the nail on my index finger, but I've never heard of any instant cure for a ruptured eardrum. I'm not sure what exactly is going on. The man Quincy, the chief marine biologist and my new boss, came and got me shortly after Gemma disappeared. I grabbed my single bag, with Gemma's explanation, I should have more than just my carry-on, and tried to walk, but it was a struggle. My limbs just didn't want to cooperate. Quincy must have noticed, because instead of giving me a tour and walking me through to orientation, he showed me to my own little room where I'm typing this now. The hallucination is fresh in my mind, but I'm exhausted and afraid to sleep. I'll send this out and give you guys another update in the next couple of days after my orientation. I have to be careful about these things. I'm not sure what will happen if they find out I'm breaking my NDA, but at the very least, it'll be sued for everything I have and sent to the brig, if this place even has one, until they can get me to the surface. I don't want to consider the worst case for breaching that part of the contract. I'm not even sure if the same laws apply down here. Or the same punishments for breaking the laws. After what Gemma said, I'm not sure I even want to know.